Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. So just a couple of housekeeping notes. For those of you who were concerned your eyesight was going during my last video, I apologize for it being that fuzzy. I swear the cat must have licked the lens or something, and I just sort of didn't catch it. So I apologize for that. I think that the comment I enjoyed the most was the one that said it looked like I was using the Carrie Lake effects, which I really like because her stuff is always. Anyways, the other thing I want to just touch on briefly is that on the Midas Touch Network, I'm sure a lot of you watch it. Michael Cohen has sort of his own segment. And I was watching one of his segments the other day, and he had a lady on by the name of Pam somebody, but she's 70. She was one of the people that just flat out said, I was there, I shouldn't have been there, I'm guilty. She was given a sentence, I think it was 100 days, I could be wrong. That isn't the point. The point is, he was drilling down with her, and he was trying to understand how somebody who is intelligent, rational, gets sucked into what Trump is saying. And, she made some really, really good points, and it was clarifying. She said the first thing he does is he convinces you that the Democrats are trying to, or will turn the country communist. That's the first thing he does. He convinces you that really is the strategy. And, that he's really the only one who sees it clearly, and he's the one who can stop it and prevent it. The next thing he does is he scares the crap out of you. So now, not only are you convinced that that other party is going to make the country communist, he starts to tell you all the horrible things that are going to happen when that happens. So now you're frightened. And the third thing she said was really interesting. She said, other people that I know, like mayors and, representatives. And she said, like intelligent people whose opinion I value, have had no reason not to value it over the years, were saying, yeah, what I'm saying, that's absolutely right. There's no question about it. And so even when she went looking for sort of not validation as much as to see if there was another side of the story, she again was told, no, what he is saying is accurate. And so they go down this sort of rabbit hole where they're frightened and they're scared, and everybody around them is giving them the same message. Certainly all their news is coming from right wing or right leaning, media. So it was really interesting to sort of gather that insight, so that there was this sort of recognition of the fact that that was her perception of kind of the steps and stages that she went through as she kind of went down the rabbit hole. And she was not, she didn't go to the rally out of curiosity. Apparently she was videotaping them for some reason. And so, it wasn't like she went in thinking that this was going to be great. She went in kind of as a neutral observer. So that was interesting. Now, this is what I want to take a look at today. So over the weekend, Trump made a point of saying that whatever the hell, basically enemies of NATO wanted to do to NATO countries was fine by him. He wasn't going to interfere. He wasn't going to anything. As far as he was concerned, Putin wanted to whatever to all the other NATO countries, good enough. That was fine. Make no mistake, if he actually gets in, and he's not going to, he will back the United States right out of NATO. The thing that is a real slap in the face about that is the only time all of the NATO countries have gotten together to protect one of their own was 9/11. So there you have it. But I want to take a look at sort of the repercussions of that, how that is being heard around the world, and what the consequences of that may very well be. because what he's saying is not only insane, but it puts not only the United States, but all the other NATO countries at risk. See, he's stupid enough to think that if he sides with Putin and Putin wants to, go after Canada or Australia or England or whatever, that's okay. He's not smart enough to understand that they would also go after the States because there's a lot of wealth in the States, right? There's a lot of stuff to grasp and accumulate. He doesn't get that. He thinks he's going to become an oligarch if and when he stops being dictator of the United States, right? I mean, it's just insane. So let's take a look at whatever the hell and just see what the impact is. So statement, impact, NATO, statement, impact, NATO, statement, impact, NATO. Okay. We're starting with the Six of Swords. All right. So we all know, because we've been paying attention, that for Trump, he will say whatever in the moment. Doesn't matter to him, right? It doesn't matter if he contradicts himself from 34 seconds before. He's going to say whatever is going to get him the best answer or result. So obviously, for whatever reason, he really thought that the whole conversation about NATO was a win. And so he just kept going farther and farther and farther, or deeper and deeper and deeper, because there is no low, we've discovered. So when he is trying to sort of steer himself out of hot water, out of a difficult situation, that's the behavior you get. And listen, those rallies are not being well attended as far as I can figure out. And if you look at the video from when he made those comments, there are people literally behind him like this. Like, long gone are the ones who are yelling and screaming and clapping and going woohoo every time he opens his mouth. So what does he do? He ramps up the rhetoric. All right. Now, what he did with this absolutely insane and foolish statement, for those of you who maybe are new to my channel, The Fool and the King of Pentacles have always been my cards for Donald Trump. So what he has done is he has put the other countries at risk. What you're going to see, I'm being told, is a very gentle pulling back of other countries. It's not going to be big and obvious. They're not going to do anything crazy, but they will start to pull back to defend themselves, because he is so out of control that he doesn't care. Wheel of Fortune. He doesn't care what consequences are. He doesn't care what the results are. It doesn't matter to him. Now, the interesting thing is that one of the things that's going on with Trump energetically is that he is really, really starting to reap that karma, okay? Like, for a lot of us, it's not coming fast enough, but that's beside the point. Karma is starting to catch him. And so when he says things that are that outrageous, you actually have other Republicans who are starting to get freaked out because it's like they don't have a response. They don't have an answer. They can't say they kind of agree with him, but they sure as hell can't say they disagree with him, because he has vowed and pledged that whoever does not support him or does not support him enthusiastically enough, he will have his retribution. Okay. It reminds me, I remember hearing once about Kim Jong-un, that the people there, when you see him and they're clapping like this, apparently it can get them if they're not clapping fast enough, if they don't look excited enough. That is the same sort of twisted mentality that you're dealing with Trump, right? Oh, you supported me, but not fast enough or not big enough or not whatever. You're gone. That's what you're dealing with. The other countries. So this is the thing, right? NATO's not going to disappear if the United States ends up pulling out of NATO. But it's going to weaken all of it. And, this is the thing. Like, I know that the United States, puts a lot of money. I think it's supposed to be 2% of its GDP. And some countries don't do that. Some countries can't do that. Some just, whatever the reason, it's not happening. Other countries, frankly, give more. And the United States is one of the countries that contributes quite a bit to NATO. But it's also, a really big country with a lot of people. And I'm not saying that justifies it, but one has to wonder if the whole 2% across the board is actually the best formula for NATO to use. When you're talking about a huge country versus a small one, and whether that kind of makes sense. But in any case, what you've got here is you now have leaders in other countries who are becoming increasingly worried, concerned, upset, panicky, because Hangman, he is literally turning their world upside down. And because the election is 10 months away, or however long away it is, that's a really long time for him to wreak even more damage to him, for him to just, implode what has been established for a really long time. They understand that he is incapable of looking at something from a perspective that is other than his own. Whether it's right or wrong or indifferent doesn't matter. You can't change the guy's mind unless you can present it in such a way that it is a huge benefit to him to change his mind. So there is a lot of concern out there. You can bet that Biden is doing everything he can to try to hold things in place. I'm hearing there's a lot of communication back and forth. There's a lot of, phone calls to sort of calm the waters, get people to take a deep breath and settle down. To not react in a way that ultimately ends up putting the United States sort of on the outskirts of something. I'm being told that there are conversations that are going on between other countries about Trump, about what he's going to do, what he can do, what he potentially will do. But you have the Tower, followed by death, followed by the Four of Cups. So what you have here is that over and over, and more times as we move forward, Trump is going to be creating tower moments for himself. Pretty much every time he opens his mouth. That really is going to bring down some of his support and some of his power. Those NATO countries do not like what they're hearing. But their priority is protecting and safeguarding their country, right? That's what they're there for. There is definitely concerns about, things getting really out of hand, about Putin pushing even harder. And there's countries that surround Russia and they're getting really concerned. So what he has done is he has ramped up the anxiety. And because he's done that, it's putting, Biden and the Biden administration in sort of a difficult spot. I mean, it's not like it's difficult because they have to clarify what he said, or it's difficult because they have to spend their time, dumping water on the fires, right? They're spending their time trying to calm everything down. And he goes out and he just said something incredibly stupid all over again. And the cycle kind of repeats, right? So now we know that, as usual, he is going to shoot off his own foot because that's what he does. We know that he has now ramped up anxiety around the globe with other NATO countries. We know that this has put added pressure on the Biden administration because they're busy putting out fires all over the place. Let's take a look and see what Biden can do, what he is doing, what the effect of what he's doing will be. But trust me when I say other NATO countries are not going to Trump. He's just such an idiot. Not what they're doing. They're saying he is still really popular. He continues maybe not to gain momentum, but he continues to be very, very strong in terms of the nominee for the Republican Party. There is this feeling that they really need to become quite protective. So, Biden administration response and cleanup. Biden administration response and cleanup. Biden administration response and cleanup. What do we have here? Okay. Starting off with the Three of Cups. So this is pretty good news. So what you have here is, countries who are listening to what is being said. They are still being very, very protective of their own, but they are listening. They are hopeful. They recognize that by and large, the American people are not happy with the way Republicans have been doing things and the way Trump wants to do things. So there is that, that feeling that there's hope, but there is also an awareness on some level of what happens if he's in the presidency, if he pulls out. Because let's face it, in many ways, the Nine of Pentacles kind of represents the United States in some ways, right? It's independent, it's strong, there's a lot of resources. Going to be a heavy lift for the Bidens. I mean, they're doing everything they can. They are trying to calm the insanity that spews out of his mouth. Everybody just wants things to go back the way they were. And you can't do that. You can never go back in time, but they are wanting a repeat of, another Biden term, whatever that may look like, because they realize that he's sane. Okay, he's sane. And they realize that Trump is truly out to just destroy everything in his path. You have the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords here. And so what this is telling me is that there is a lot of care and attention being given to the way things are being spoken about, the behind the scenes kind of stuff that is going on. There is a real push to ensure that this person who was out to destroy everything in his path is stopped. This is not only coming from the Biden administration, it is coming from other NATO countries. It is coming from energies, just the energy that is being created as a result of the kinds of insane things he says. They're working on it. They are not ignoring this. They are not taking it lightly. They realize that he really does pose a threat, not just to the United States, but by extension to the entire world. And so you can anticipate their messaging becoming more and more sort of in your face, reactive, strong, because he sort of just can't be left to do what he's doing. Ultimately, the Biden administration is going to be able to bring his power, his rhetoric, his nonsense to a stop. And whether that happens, because it's sort of not the Biden administration that's going to do it, it's time, energy, events. That is going to be what brings this down, that closes it down. And, energetically, if something were to happen to Trump, the Republican Party would truly kind of implode on itself, because in a really basic way, they understand that they have veered so far off the path that they're not even recognizable as Republicans anymore. But worse, there is nobody who wants a Trump substitute. If you're a Trump fan, you don't want anybody but him. What happens is that that's then going to throw the party into complete chaos, because there isn't somebody who can step in. There just isn't, because there isn't another one. Let us all thank God. So ultimately, as a result of the things that Trump says, there are judgments being passed. There are even judgments being passed about Biden and the administration, and how they're handling it or not handling it, what they're saying behind the scenes. Make no mistake that when it comes right down to it, the United States will be safe, okay? And the judgments against Trump will be harsh. And that's what we know. Anticipate more secrets coming out. He's going to say more stupid stuff, I'm telling you. He's on a roll. So you can anticipate that. I know that astrologically this week there's supposed to be planets are doing whatever they're doing, but there's really supposed to be some explosive energy. And while people are going to be impacted about it, most astrologers are sort of talking about it broadly, like world event. So it feels like as we go into this week, it's going to be a little topsy-turvy anyways. So this is what I want you to know and do. When you start hearing things that frighten you, that scare you, that shake, your confidence that this is all going to work out okay, I want you to do whatever you need to do to infuse yourself with positive energy. Okay, turn off the TV, put on a sitcom, go for a walk, crank up the music and dance around your living room. Do whatever you can do to amplify positive, vibrant energy, okay? Because that is how you counteract that sort of lower vibration, negative, explosive energy. You surround it, you flood it with positive energy. So listen, that's your job this week. However you do it, however you want to pray, you want to meditate, you want to dance on the street, whatever works for you. But kind of make keeping a positive attitude a real priority over the next, 5 to 7 days, because it feels like things are going to get a little bit wacky. I plan on starting up. It's not going to be a weekly thing yet, but before the last election, we did sort of those visualization techniques, where we were all, followed a guided meditation to create certain energies. I will be starting that again quite soon, because I think that it was very helpful and powerful, I believe, during the last election. And right now, it's going to be helpful in terms of Biden, the administration, the election, and continuing to move a more positive energy out and around the planet. All right, that's what I know for right now. Don't forget to add your questions in the comment section below. And I thank you very, very much for being here. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye-bye.